everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Experts podcast, where we dive deep into transformational health and wellness. Today, we are honored to have Sue Anne Hickey. Now, Sue Anne, she is a naturopath. She is a best-selling author and the visionary behind Body Typology Systems. Sue has helped men and women to unlock their, their unique body type superpowers to lose weight effectively, whereby she blends nutritional wisdom and deep emotional healing by using rapid transformational therapy. Get ready to discover your revolutionary approach to losing weight that goes far beyond diets. Sue Anne, welcome to the show.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Alka. I'm really excited to be here and to share with your audience.
Absolutely. So let's get started. You are the visionary behind a body typology system. I see your book. Can you share your journey as into naturopathy, and how did this lead into developing a body typology systems?
Yeah, sure. Um, I would say it goes back to when I first started taking my classes to be a naturopath in 2006. The whole system is based, science-based. It was created by medical doctors, started learning, figuring out, okay, there's different body types, and one size fits all doesn't work. So Dr. Henry Beeler wrote a book. He was in his 60s or 70s, called Let Food Be Thy Medicine. And so he was a real pioneer in his time at the turn of the century, helping his patients heal naturally without using medication. And I think a lot of his peers were like, what are you doing? So he wrote the first book, and he distinguished a few body types, but he didn't, have them all. And then Dr. Bravenel wrote a book in 1980, I think it was 1983, and he distinguished the different body types and developed it more. And then when I was taking my classes to be a naturopath in 2006, one of my teachers had learned about these body types, and she expanded on it more because from 1980 to in the 2000s,
Right.
our knowledge of nutrition completely changed. Like Dr. Bravenel was talking about margarine and things we know now are not good for us. And so when she was teaching about the different body types and she was explaining about one body type, I was like, that's me, that's me, that's me. The description fit me to a T.
Mhm.
And she was, telling me, well, you need way more protein that your vegetarian diet is providing for you. And I'm like, no, there's no way. I was so stubborn. I'm like, I'm not changing. I like the way I'm eating. And I believe a plant-based diet is the healthiest diet for us and the planet. But week after week, the more I learned, the more I saw the other students like taking on a healthy glow and having more energy and transforming and losing weight. I'm like, maybe I should try this too, because it made so much sense. So I started incorporating and eating right for my body type, and just completely transformed my health and my life. My energy like skyrocketed. I felt so much more balanced, because before I was on this like hypoglycemic roller coaster all day long, snacking and hungry, and constantly reaching for carbs and sweets, which would spike my energy up with the ensuing crash. And so, yeah, as I ate for my body type, as I said, I felt so much more balanced and so much better. And I'm like, okay, this is a no-brainer. I'm eating this way for the rest of my life, and I have to tell the whole world about it as well.
Mhm. That's amazing. Well, it's good you did. Now, you mentioned diets. There were so many diets. And of course, research always changes. Like you mentioned, margarine was not good, butter was not good. Now it's good. And, red wine was not good, but now it is. But as you talked about in your talk last time, everything's in moderation. So would you agree? Yes, we need to, but in moderation. And also, when it comes to diets, there is so much out there. There's I think paleo or there's keto. In your experience as an expert, what would you recommend to our listeners who want to perhaps try like you had? What would you suggest they do? What's the first approach?
It is so challenging for so many people that I talk to when they first, reach out to me. They say, I don't know what to do because there's so much conflicting
Right.
information.
Yes.
Because, someone has a whole bunch of followers on social media, so they are, saying this is true, and people believe that, and then everyone else starts saying it. This gets to be a nightmare. So, I would say that everyone has to find their own path and find what works for them and do the research if they can. If you're following someone on social media, often the person has lost 10, 25, 50 pounds, and all of a sudden they're an expert. So do your own research. What are the qualifications this person has? What is the education
Yes. Mhm.
they have? Like, how long have they been in practice? What are their success stories? And even at that, they might have success stories because they're, helping people do this very restrictive diet. But what happens after they finish the restrictive diet? So I think it's essential for people to find what works for them, what resonates with them, but do the research and make sure it's a healthy way of eating. The most important thing that I find, if people want to lose weight or be healthy, it has to be something you can do for the rest of your life. And there are very few programs out there that people can do for the rest of their life.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, when it comes to weight loss, the key for many individuals is maintaining. It's always that maintenance. You can lose the weight quickly, but you can also put the weight on. But then how do you maintain is always the key to a successful weight loss journey.
Exactly. Yeah, there's too many diets out there where you're, like keto, you're taking out an entire food group, no carbs, and talking to people, they're like, but what happens when it's birthday month or Christmas, and I want to have the sugar and the carbs just a little, and as soon as they do, the weight starts piling back on. Or if they travel, or they're on a plane, or they're eating out to dinner or celebrations with family, every single time things pop up, the weight comes back on, and then they can't follow it, and then they throw in the towel, and the weight all comes back on. So I believe it's important to have what I call your deviations. I don't like the word cheats. So, you can call
I
it
like
your,
that word. I like
yeah,
that word too. Yeah.
your deviations or your pleasure food, whatever. Not cheats has such a negative connotation, but you have those occasionally. You do not feel guilty. You enjoy the food, you cherish it, you savor it, and then you get back on track the next day or the next meal, and that is the key to your long-term success. We're never going to white knuckle it, forever just to get to a certain weight, because life happens.
Exactly. Exactly. That is so true. So, Sue, can you explain what is body typology systems and how does body typology systems differ from other weight loss methods out there?
Yeah, it is so unique in that it is very personalized through different body types. Now, the body types have to do with the glands, because a lot of people think, endomorph, ectomorph, mesomorph. It's way more than that. So we distinguish either the adrenal glands, the thyroid, or for the woman only the ovaries. And we all have a dominant gland, and that gland is working harder than the others, and the others are trying to catch up. So when that happens, usually there's an imbalance, like what's happening for me. As I mentioned, I was like on this roller coaster,
Yo-yo,
and
yeah.
always hungry. So when we eat the right foods at the right time, or choosing better foods for us that work with our body type, maybe reducing the foods. Like for me, it's the carbs and sugar I needed to reduce. For someone else, it might be the overly fatty or fried foods. Then what happens is our dominant gland calms down and the other glands get stronger. So that creates a balance from the inside out. It's physical. And across the board, my clients will tell me, my cravings have gone down. I feel better eating this way. Like I'm not as hungry. They can't believe they're not hungry because they're so used to following diets where they're hungry all the time.
Right. Uh-huh.
But I'm like, no, you can have potatoes and sweet potatoes and good carbs. So the weight comes off easily where usually where people most want to, like the pear shape will lose more in the lower body, the apple shape will lose more in the belly. And it's a sustainable way of eating because, as I said, we're not depriving ourselves completely, but mostly staying on track, working with the metabolism of the body also. So that's the other key thing.
Mhm.
Some people, are kind of slow in the morning, takes them a while to get going. Just give me my coffee and leave me alone. So that could indicate that their metabolism is also slow in the morning. So a small light breakfast is perfect for them. Other people like jump out of bed, full of energy, 10 on 10, ready to take on the day. They
Right.
could have a metabolism that's higher, so they need a bigger breakfast with more protein. So it works, and then someone else whose metabolism is higher at night, they might be able to have a bigger dinner. So it works with the metabolism at the same time.
Amazing. That's really good to know. And also, I hear quite often, people talk about even that personal trainers, they talk about, having six small meals a day. Now, but there are other individuals say, well, you shouldn't be eating too much. So, what is your approach? Is it to have six small meals a day, or that's still having that too much food, correct?
Yeah, usually I don't think six small meals is needed. I'm a big advocate of 3 meals a day. And as I said, someone might need a small breakfast, someone else might need a bigger breakfast. It really depends on your body type. Some body types need the snacks, the small snacks in between,
Right.
especially if the blood sugar is unbalanced or there's hypoglycemia, then we need to keep the blood sugar balanced. So they might need snacks. And it depends on the person. Often having a snack mid-afternoon might be a good thing, especially if they get home from work late and they're not going to eat till 7. I don't want someone to be arriving at dinner saying, get out of my way, I'm going to kill someone, I'm starving. So I think one thing is key that so many people are struggle with is eating meals on time, because
Yes.
the weekend comes, well, we'll have breakfast or we'll have brunch and then we'll eat late or we'll skip lunch. And I believe the body really loves routine. So that's one key thing I find that's missing. And so many people just eat when we can. We're busy at work. But when you aim for having your meals at regular times, the body feels so much better with that.
Absolutely. So, how do you have your unique approach to helping men and women to lose weight by nutrition, but also by your unique approach to RTT, rapid transformational therapy? So, how do you define a person's unique body type, superpowers, and how is that the key to losing weight?
So yeah, the superpowers is kind of, as I was mentioning before, when you're eating the right foods for your body type that works for it, um, it unlocks your superpowers. So I made the body types into superheroes to make it kind of more fun and more interesting than looking at these,
Right.
body shapes that look kind of overweight and frumpy. So and I believe it does unlock people's superpowers because it does give you that much more energy and strength.
Yes.
For myself, back in the day, when I started my classes to be a naturopath, I had joined a cycling club at the same time. And at the beginning, I could hardly keep up with the other riders, and I would be at home after a ride on the couch, unable to move for the rest of the day. And as I started eating for my body type, as I said, my strength and stamina increased like mad. And I started getting stronger and faster and riding with the faster riders. And everyone was like, "What are you doing?" They couldn't believe the transformation. So, it is like unlocking your superpowers. And
Powers.
I believe that no matter what age we are, we can live our very best life. I am no spring chicken and I'm still climbing mountains and skiing. And I hope to be doing that well into my 80s or 90s. Like, why not? When so many people think, well, it's normal, I'm getting older, I have more aches and pains, I can't do what I used to, I need more medication every year. I say horse hockey. I say, it's about staying healthy now and moving now and strengthening now and doing all the things to help you be able to live those years at the top of your game instead of, they say that the last 10 years of our life can be spent in sickness, and those amount of years are growing, the amount of years that people spend in sickness. So let's reverse that.
Exactly. Why not? Why not reverse? So
Yeah.
a lot of, movement has got to come in as we get older. We got to have the movement coming in because that's if we're not moving, and especially like, if you're corporate and 9 to 5 job, we're very sedentary. There's no way that, we're moving. So we've got to get that movement coming in. You're a perfect example, Sue Anne. I see from what you do, you're in nature, you love nature, and that is the best way. So it doesn't matter if it's snowing, it's winter, get out, get the movement, get your body moving. So we feel so much better, and it's just so good.
Yes. And I can talk about, you asked about the RTT and how that fits in. So
Right. Yeah.
when I started my practice, I realized, okay, I know I have the best healthy eating plan on the planet. Of that, I was sure. But I
Mhm.
found that unless we healed also the underlying emotional triggers or stress triggers, my clients might revert back to their old eating habits and the weight would come back on. So I thought, what can I do to help them heal? Because that's key to go, especially with weight loss. So I started training in what's called rapid transformational therapy, RTT for short. And that I'm so happy to use. It's such a strong, powerful modality where I help my clients get into a very relaxed state. And by doing that, we can bypass the overly thinking, overly analytical mind and go back and see what triggers might still be there that are triggering them now. Because I don't know about you, but most of us didn't have the perfect childhood with the perfect parents and the perfect siblings and schooling. So we all have some childhood trauma, and
Right.
that can still be triggering us now to reach for the snacks late at night, to keep on going back into our overeating habits or binge eating or whatever it might be. So I'm just the guide, and my clients, they have the aha moments during the sessions of like, oh yeah, that happened when I was 8 and it's still triggering me now. Often at the end of the session, they say, I can't believe I forgot about that completely. It happened 30 years ago and it's still triggering me now, or these things are keeping me stuck. So
Mhm.
we do this whole process, we release them, we reframe them, all the triggers that might be there. And then at the end of the session, I make them a powerful recording using their own words and some of mine. And they listen to that for 30 days. It's about a small 15-minute recording. And that really helps instill the new positive mindset, positive thought pattern. So it works amazing to help my clients heal whatever things that they need to get rid of those triggers that have been keeping them stuck in the past.
Exactly. And it comes down to your mindset. What's your perspective, your
Yeah.
mindset on how we look at things. So can you explain, Sue, what are the common myths you find that hold many people back from, reaching their ideal weight, perhaps?
Yeah, I think so many people think that they just need one diet, one thing to follow strictly to get to that weight. And then once they do that and they can, get there, then they'll be okay, without thinking of, as I said earlier, I need to find something that I can follow for the rest of my life, not this overly restrictive diet. And I've seen it happen. And so many of my clients tell me when they arrive I've tried everything and nothing's worked because they're doing things like counting points or counting calories or keto or intermittent fasting and all these things that they can't follow, and after a while they go off and they're hard on themselves. They blame themselves when it's really not about them. It's about a plan that doesn't work for them, their
Right.
lifestyle, their food preferences, and what works for them long term.
Right. What is your view on intermittent fasting? I mean, I tried. It didn't really work. I felt hungry. Now, is that normal to feel hungry? Or was that just me because I was just new to that? But what is
Yeah.
your approach to intermittent fasting if viewers want to try it? What would you say?
Yeah, I might lose a few friends by saying I'm not I'm not a big fan of intermittent fasting because so many people are doing it now.
Uh-huh.
As I was mentioning before, I believe in 3 meals a day. I believe the body loves routine. I believe that we should fast, yes, from about 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. Have your dinner, and then we don't need usually any other food until the morning. That's a long enough fast. To push it further than that, what I learned and what I believe to be true is three things happen when we delay a meal. Number one, our metabolism slows down because the body always wants to protect itself. So if there's no food, the body will say, well, I don't know when the next meal is coming in. I'm going to slow down the metabolism in order to protect myself because I don't know when the next food is coming in. The
Mhm.
second thing that happens is when we delay a meal too long, the next meal can be stored completely as fat. And the
Mm.
third thing, like you said, we get hungry. I don't know about you, but if I go too long without eating, I cannot eat fast enough and I eat way too much because I'm just past that point and I'm like,
Right.
so I think most people will agree when they do intermittent fasting,
Mhm.
they're, by the time they can eat, they're overly hungry, they overeat. And I don't know, some people have a 6 hour window. They try and fast till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They have a 6 hour window where they have to eat all this food. And, you might be lacking in protein. You might lose weight, but you're probably losing muscle mass. So, the body is getting more like softer. So, not a fan of intermittent fasting for all those reasons.
Exactly. Well, as I said, I tried intermittent fasting with a personal trainer who suggested that perhaps, if I want to lose the weight, my goals at that time, try intermittent fasting. So I did, but it really didn't work out for me. So, that's it. So I stopped. But you got to listen to your body. If you feel hungry, eat the meals, like you said, three small meals, that's adequate. But, always listen to your body. It doesn't mean what your personal trainer says, whoever says, your healthcare professional, listen to your body because
Exactly.
your gut intuition, your gut is your second brain.
Yeah.
Listen to what it's saying.
Yeah, so the body will tell you what it needs. If you eat a food and you don't feel well with it, then that's not the right food for you. The body will whisper when it starts out, and if we keep on going down the wrong path, usually some big symptoms will come up and it will start yelling at us.
Exactly. We don't want that. So can you break down the core principles that differ from traditional methods and also the scientifically approach to weight loss and how individuals can keep the weight loss off? So share some of the principles and the scientific methods right now.
Sure. Yeah, I think that would be a good way for me to also explain the different body types so your
Yes.
listeners can see,
Yes.
oh,
Sure.
that sounds like me, or, and give them some tips about that.
Absolutely, yes.
So let's start with the apple shaped, what most people think of the apple shape. And some people will say, "Well, I gain weight all over. I'm not apple or pear or anything like that." But you have to think back if you have gained weight. When you first started gaining weight, did you gain it weight more in the upper body?
Mhm.
So for me, the apple shape, they're usually very strong upper body, broad shoulders, large chest. Think like Oprah, strong. And their personality is like that, very determined, go getter. out there. They're the strongest of all the body types. Nothing can stop them once they harness their determination. They're fun to work with, because once they harness that determination, there's no stopping them.
Right.
So the ailments that they're most prone to, because each of the body types has more ailments that they're most prone to, can be everything related to the cardiovascular system. So later on in life, they might have high cholesterol, high blood pressure. They might have a congested liver, fatty liver, or later on, they might be more prone to heart attack or stroke. The food cravings for that body type is usually the salty, maybe chips. They might like red meat if they're not vegetarian. They might like a burger and fries. And they often say, I just love food. So portion control can be challenging for them, especially at dinner. They are social, jovial, the life of the party, very hardworking. And what else? So they need to be, oh, yes, and their dominant gland is the adrenal glands. So their adrenal glands can be working harder than the others, secreting a lot of cortisol. And they might have a very calm exterior, but they tend to internalize their stress. So it's key for them to learn how to better manage their stress, because if not, their weight loss, they can be doing everything possible, following this a plan very, very carefully. But if the stress is high, that means the cortisol is high and the belly fat will stay on. So I always, when I work with my clients as a naturopath, we're working holistically, looking at, every aspect of their stress management, emotionally, physically, their diet, what's going on in their life, their relationships, everything as a whole. So for them, I would suggest number one, stress management. Number two, be aware of that portion control because they do love food. So try and rein that in. And lowering the fat and salt is best for them. So that's type number one for the men and women. The next type we'll talk about is the pear-shaped for the woman only. So that has to do with the ovaries. Now, it's fascinating because each body type of the personality fits them usually to a T. So our pear-shaped in the woman, I call that the Gaia type for the superhero, like the motherly, caregiving, very down-to-earth person. Now, they love to take care of others. They might have a lot of kids. They might choose a profession like a nurse or a psychiatrist or a teacher of young children. They love those, any way to give to others. And they're wired that way, and that will never change. It's the way they are. It's wonderful. They're taking care of their elderly parents or their siblings or their friends or their pets, or working too hard. So I just suggest to them, how can you put yourself a little bit higher on your list instead of at the bottom? They need to start doing that. It's key. Now, their ailments will be related more to the reproductive system as it has to do with the ovaries. So for them, we might see issues like breast cysts or ovarian cysts or polycystic ovary syndrome, challenges with PMS as they get older, big challenges with menopause. Everything related to the reproductive system can be enhanced with them. So the other challenge for them is because they give and give all day long, at the end of the day, their cup is empty, they're depleted. So they often reach for those late night snacks
Right.
to fill their cup up. So they have to realize, okay, what can I do to fill my own cup that's not with food related? So can I fill my own cup up with some affection, cuddle with my kids or my husband, reach out to a friend, nourish themselves instead of reaching for something to soothe themselves, because that's often happening with that body type. Their metabolism is slower in the morning, so a small light breakfast is perfect for them. And a lot of them are like, I saw online, I need a big breakfast, lots of protein, like 3 eggs and 35 grams of protein. I'm like, no, you don't need that much. They're not even hungry in the morning. So they could have like a small smoothie or something light. So what else was I going to say about the pear-shaped body type? Yeah, taking care of themselves is key. reducing the sugar will balance the hormones incredibly. So yeah, that's more for the pear-shaped body type or Gaia body type. And then the third body type is generally more taller and long limbs, long arms, long legs. And when they gain weight, it's usually like a spare tire around the middle. Or sometimes usually they have a high metabolism. We all know these people who are tall and slim, they eat everything in sight and they never gain weight. It's like, that's not
No,
fair.
that's not fair. Yeah.
So I'm what I call the thyroid type. It has to do with the thyroid gland. And so for us, we, like I described before I learned how to eat right for my body type, we look for stimulants. We look for coffee and sugar and carbs, and that spikes us up and spikes us up with the ensuing crash. So protein is key for us to keep us more balanced, especially at breakfast. That was a game changer for me. We like speed, like my sports. I like going fast on the bike, and the thyroid gland likes speed. So it's better for us to do some strengthening or some yoga. We need to learn to take breaks and rest more and go on vacation, because we tend to work, 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 work and get fried. So
Yeah.
we really need to find that balance. It's still a work in progress for myself. And be aware of the excess sweets and carbs that are keeping us spiked up. So reduce the sweets, have more protein. And the two systems that are challenging for my body type, or the thyroid body type, are the digestive system and the nervous system. And the two go hand in hand, right? If we're stressed and go, 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 go all the time, our digestive system can be struggling, because if you're, imagine if you're stressed and you're like this, the digestive system is not going to work very well. So those are the three body types in a nutshell.
That is amazing. I know when we heard you on the call with the Adamos, you had it gave a really perfect picture, because I volunteered and I loved, because I got firsthand information as to your unique approach, how you help your clients with with identifying their unique superpowers. And when I practice with you, I got to learn firsthand, what do I need to eat for my body type. And I think I can relate to the Gaia. I think that's what you had told me. That's who I was. But I think it's so beautiful when we learn our body types, what we need to, how can we identify, first of all, and what we need to have for, to eat for our body types. I think
Yeah.
it's so informational. I think it's so good. You need to have that knowledge as to what you need to do.
Yes, it's very unique and very little known. So you can help me spread the word and and let more people learn about it, because it can be so transformational. People don't realize, say you put three people on a diet, one might feel great and lose weight, one might feel horrible and gain weight, and the third person might be indifferent and stay the same, and they're eating exactly the same thing. It just shows
Mhm.
us immediately that we're all different, and we all need, different plans, and we can tweak it to our personality, our lifestyle, how busy we are, how much time we have to spend in the kitchen, food preferences, and make sure it works for each person.
Absolutely. But that's a good point that you mentioned. We all have unique body types for sure, but we can all aim to, like you said, we can all aim to lose the weight, but some people don't lose the weight easily. Is it because of their why do you think they don't lose the weight? Both individuals they struggle to lose the weight. One does effectively, but then the other individual does not. What's holding them back? Is it
That's
the
a great
mindset or
It's a
how?
great question. There's a few things that I see in my practice when someone might lose the weight quickly and like right away they start losing weight and it just comes off, and others might be doing everything and it stays the same. So there are about three key things that I look at. Number one is stress. As I mentioned before, I've had clients, their stress level is up to here at work. And even when they come home, they're still like bouncing off the walls and the stress is just so high. So that the body will hold on to weight for protection when the stress is that high. Number two is emotional challenges or, childhood trauma. When someone, say someone as a child has been abused, they could again be holding on to weight for protection without realizing it. So until they do a lot of inner work, maybe it's best for them to work with a psychologist for a year or however long it takes to unpack that and unravel it and realize they don't need the protection anymore from, from when they were a child. But some people can hold their body will hold on to weight physically even though they're doing all the right things. Another key factor is the liver. So if the liver is congested, the liver has to do so many different things all day long. It has so many different tasks, and often the liver is working so hard because we're exposed to air pollution and food pollution and pesticides on our food,
Right.
and so many different toxins and chemicals from all over. And you add on to that someone who maybe is having a diet a little bit too high in fat or fried foods and alcohol. The liver has so many things to do. It's not releasing the fat like it can be because it's just, it's up to here. It's where it's really overworked. So those are three key things that I look at if the weight loss is not happening. And there's probably many others, like people that have hypothyroid or digestive issues. That's why I like to, at the beginning of a consultation, I take an entire health history form to see exactly what's going on. So we need to make sure the gut microbiome is happy, that the digestive system is working as it should, and their glands are working okay. The thyroid gland is okay, because all the systems work together. So we need to look at everything that's going on in order to help them succeed.
Absolutely. Success is the main goal when it comes to weight loss. As a naturopath, identify your clients at a holistic level. So that is just so beautiful. I absolutely love that. Now you mentioned cholesterol. How can we identify when it comes to cholesterol? How is it found? Um, can it be pinpointed? Can I do that, or do I have to seek a professional to tell me that this cholesterol? How can you identify the symptom of cholesterol?
If the cholesterol is high, I mean, it's easily identified with a blood test. There's a lot of misconception around cholesterol, I believe.
What are some of the misconceptions? What are some of them?
That it's not necessarily the enemy. It depends on so many different factors, but there's, cholesterol is useful in so many different ways. And if our cholesterol is too high and the LDL, what is so-called the bad cholesterol, is too high, combined with other factors, that's not a good thing. So for myself, I have a genetic predisposition. My sister has it as well. It's called apolipoprotein. The apolipoprotein is high. So that can put me at higher risk for heart attack. And so my doctor is like, you need to take, statins to lower your cholesterol. And I'm like, can I just try and do it naturally? And he's like, no, because you're apolipoprotein positive, you are at high risk. One of our
Right.
parents had it. We don't know which one. So I went off and I was very careful to lower my cholesterol because, yes, I believe, if the cholesterol is high and you have another genetic predisposition that can put you at high risk for heart attack, yes, we need to lower it down. So I did bring it down naturally. I went for a stress test. It was perfect. I had the blood pressure checked every day. It was perfect. And I brought it right down 6 months. I was very, very careful. And I went back to him and I said, you see, I brought it down. It's in the normal range now. Do I have to take the medication? And, we chatted. I don't
And you
have
said
any.
no, no.
I don't have the visceral belly fat. All everything else was perfect. He's like, no, you're okay. So, and my husband also, his cholesterol was a little high, and the doctor wanted him to take statins. So you can reduce it. Some people's liver produces cholesterol, so they might need the medication. But there are ways to bring the cholesterol down, and then we don't need the medication, which is my goal.
Exactly. Well, wait, that's for all, right? If we don't need medication, and that's so good. Well, yeah, so I just wanted to just tag on that. So my brother, about 2 years ago, he found like a yellow dot in his eye. And when he went to the doctor, they said, yeah, you've got cholesterol. So now he's on medication for cholesterol. So that was his symptom.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's what I'm just wondering as to how can any one of us identify, what that may be, that yellow dot in our eye or anywhere. What can that lead to? But seek a professional so
Yes,
that they can
yes,
tell
yes.
you as to what that is. Oh, that is so beautiful. I love this. Um, such a great, powerful conversation. I think it's really good to know about your body type and how your body needs to heal itself. So, can you share, Sue, some of your success stories? Your clients have, with the combined approach from nutrition and your unique approach to rapid transformational therapy, how your clients are now leading a successful life.
Sure. I mean, physically, I have one story outside of the RTT of one woman who was working with me for weight loss, and she also had a cough. This has happened for a few clients. And she had been coughing for 10 years, and she had been to see every doctor and specialist, like underneath the sun. That's the word she used. And no one had been able to help her. And so I said, well, try, stopping the dairy and reduce the wheat a bit. Lo and
Mhm.
behold, she stopped coughing. She was like, hallelujah.
Oh,
And her
wow.
husband was hallelujah because he had been listening to her cough for 10 years. So
Uh-huh.
it was simply what often happens is when the body has a substance that's irritating, it will produce extra mucus. And so for her, the extra mucus, her body didn't tolerate dairy, and the extra mucus was causing this coughing. So, I mean, it's sometimes simple for me, but other people don't know, and the doctors might not have the background in nutrition to think of that. So, that can happen often. A small uh, change in the diet can completely transform someone's life. As far as RTT, um, I don't know, there's so many different stories, some personal. I mean, one woman, after we did the session, she had something had been brought up, and she said she felt lighter at the end. You could see her whole demeanor was lighter, and she said, in 3 years of therapy, we never even touched on that. So she was kind of upset that she had spent, number one, 3 years in therapy and all that money.
Mhm.
And we did the session, we pinpointed it exactly. It came up of what needed to be released and transformed. So things like that can happen often of people. Sometimes there's tears, but often there's just a lightness at the end of the session of realizing. It might sound overly simplified, but you kind of say, I'm not 8 years old anymore. I don't need to. I never realized I was holding on to those thoughts or feelings. They were completely buried, but we can let go of that now. And so at the end of the session, sometimes people feel a lot lighter, look a lot lighter, as I said, and others, it can be gradual as they listen to the recording over the upcoming weeks.
Mhm.
The transformation just gradually happens, and they look back and they're like, I'm more, courageous now. I'm standing up in the board meetings and I'm speaking my word, and I'm not letting people, like, I'm not shying back, and I'm not holding back anymore. So things like that can happen as well.
I think that's beautiful. Owning your power, your superpower, And I think also the most important is letting go of the baggage. When you let go of the baggage and that trauma that we've been holding on to as a child, we carry that with us in adulthood. And then when we can let go of the baggage, wow, it's just, you feel so much lighter, and it's just so beautiful. Well, Sue, this has been such a powerful conversation. Thank you so much for taking out your time. Now, if someone wants to work with you, how can people who are interested to work with you, how can they connect with you?
Yes, it's pretty easy to find me if you look for body typology. Uh, so it's spelt the same way it sounds, body, BODY, TYPOLOGY, body typology. And there you can find my website or social media. I'm on most of the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook. But if they go to my website, there you can find a quiz, which is a fun little quiz to figure out your body type. It might not be 100% accurate because to do 12 questions to figure out a body type, but usually it's pretty accurate. So they could, try the quiz and look on my website. It will describe the different body types if they're still not sure, because sometimes there's overlaps. They might say, well, I look like an apple shape, but I think I have the personality of the pear shape. So which one
Right.
am I? So yeah, they can look at that on my website. And if they're interested in knowing more, they can book a call, and I'd be happy to figure out their body type and give them some tips for free.
Exactly. And where can people get your book?
The book is available probably easiest on my website, or just looking on Amazon. Body typology is there, all one word, on Amazon. It's available on most book platforms. Yes, and that's a great way also to see the body types and learn all about them, described exactly with the different healthy eating plans, and as well as a whole ton of information about eating healthier and healing as well.
Amazing. Well, Sue, thank you so much for sharing your incredible insights into naturopathy, body typology, and also how healing can really play a huge role in our well-being. And also, your unique approach. This is what I really loved about the conversation. Your unique approach into rapid transformational therapy plays a huge role in from our mindset and healing in every aspect of our lives. So that is so important. And thank you so much. And thank you to our listeners for joining us in this powerful conversation with Sue Anne Hickey. Now, if you want to connect with Sue and you want to learn more about her work, you want to connect with her, go to her website and also grab her book, which is available on Amazon, or go to our website, Body Typology. And thank you so much for tuning in to this powerful episode. And as always, we will see you the next time, and take care of your body, mind, and spirit. Until next time, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Alka.
Amazing.